The Miami Grand Prix, the first of the three races in the United States of America, started in 2022. After a whole lot of deliberation in which the racing community in Miami has been trying to bring up Formula One race into Miami since the 1980s, but due to so many issues, they were unable to form one and bring one. But unfortunately, in 2022, they were able to host the first Miami Grand Prix on the Hard Rock Stadium, and the driveway around it was sorted out to host a race. So I keep saying we need a race in Africa. In America now, they're having 3 tracks on the Formula One calendar, and they might be having more because the Chicago Grand Prix is the process. Since 1993, Africa has not hosted a GP, which is disheartening. Anyways, let me go back to what I was saying. The Miami Grand Prix has been held 3 times, and 2 of those 3 times had been won by Red Bull. Max Verstappen had won 2 of the races, that's the 2022 and 2023, and the Red Bull car had been the most dominant car there. Up until last year, in which McLaren were like, what is happening? This had to be a turning point for us, and that was where the turning point for McLaren started last year, in which they were able to secure the Constructors' Championship. Lando Norris won the race in Miami, and that changed the whole scape of the championship. The circuit length of 5.412 kilometers, that's a 3.363 miles, with a race length of 308.326 kilometers, that's 191.584 miles. 57 laps of race, and remember, the second sprint race of the season. Now we are going to be having 2 sprint races in US, the Miami and the one coming around October in Texas, Austin. Like I said, last year McLaren won. Pole position was Max Verstappen, and we thought he was going to win outrightly, but unfortunately McLaren won, and that was it. And Oscar Piastri owns the fastest lap, but the track record is still held on to tightly by Max Verstappen. He's still holding to the race lap record on that track. I think there's going to be a lot of changes this year. I feel like Ferrari will win this race. Well, it's a sprint race. Remember, Ferrari won the first sprint race of the season. Will they be winning a sprint race again, or will they be winning a main race? I predict Ferrari win in Miami and in Monaco this year. Ferrari will win some races, not just 1 or 2 races. That will make the season bring out some more interesting dynamics out of it. Now, what do we have? We are going to have some soft compound of tire, in which we'll be having the C3 to be hard tire, the C4 to be medium, and the C5 to be the softest compound. Remember, we're having the C6, which is the softest compound of tire for this year, and it will be run in Monaco. But these are 18 size type tire, and I think from next year we are going to reduce the size from what we're looking at. We're having a front camber of -3 degrees and the rear camber of -1.75 degrees, with a minimum pressure of 24.5 psi in the front and a 21.5 psi at the rear. This track has some beautiful curvatures, some S's, some slow corners and some fast corners, in which will give these cars that are already living this their generation. We have a medium traction on that track, which is about 3 of 5, and we're having the asphalt grip of 4 of 5, the asphalt abrasion 2 of 5. The track evolution is very high. It's a 10 of 10, it's a 5 of 5, it's a 20 of 20, it's a 100 of 100 track evolution, which tells you that every time the car come out to run on the track times improve, which means the cars that comes out last might be much beneficiary of that track evolution, in which they would gain more time than those that come out first. Drivers need to be very careful and know when to set time and how to prepare their tires to set these wonderful times that will put them on pole position, either in the sprint or in the main race. Remember, there will be only 1 practice. After that practice, we are going straight into the sprint qualifying. Then on Saturday, we are having 2 races, the sprint race and the qualifying for you. The tire stress will be 3 of 5, though the tires will wear more. That's why they'll be using the C3 as the hard, but the track will not stress the tire like we think. The lateral energy is going to be high. I think we'll be having much more graining on the front right tires and on the rear left tires, which will make these tires suffer. The rear tires certainly will suffer more. We've seen McLaren being able to manage their tires, and other teams are working towards it. We learned Red Bull will be bringing some McLaren improvement tire management in Imola to help them manage their tires. Will that work for them or work for their own setup? Until we get to Imola track, we would know. What else do we have? The braking is minimum because we have a lot of high speed corners, just some few low speed corners. So it's a 3 over 5 braking, lateral 3 over 5, and the downforce is just in the middle. It's not a high downforce track in which the drivers will have to push enough. Yes, there will be a lot of pushing, but that will not be enough. Also, you need to know that this track is one of the anti-clockwise track on the calendar, which means there is so much fun that is going to be. How are these cars going to thrive? I believe McLaren still believe they have the fastest car. But coming out of Saudi Arabia, we can see that the Red Bull on qualifying pace and on the race pace, they are almost the same with the McLaren, which means the Red Bull could be faster or could be on the same race pace with McLaren. So McLaren should be wary of where they are or where they stand or what they think they have, because their package might not look so solid like they think their package is. For the Red Bull, I think Red Bull are going to prove a point, because in the last race, the race was between Oscar Piastri and Max Verstappen. And Max Verstappen could have won the race if he had given back the place on the first lap. But because of the rule book he has in his mind, and he knows Max Verstappen is quite intelligent, on that race, I think he made a whole lot of errors with his planning, and that affected him. He was believing the car would not be fast enough against the McLaren, but we saw how fast the car was, even ending the race very close to Oscar Piastri. So I think going into this race, it is going to be very, very interesting. The Mercedes now know the true picture of where they are. They could be the fourth fastest team, if not for Ferrari not getting their setup. The Ferrari car, I believe, is still a very fast car, but the problem is getting the setup or making the rear work. And the rear work means this car juggling at the rear, flipping up and down at the rear, is not giving their drivers the confidence to push these cars through the corner and to also break the car late, because the rear snaps off easily. They said the reason why they brought the upgrades in Bahrain is to fix this. Those upgrades really fixed it. With the 2 weeks they've had, I think we should see them competing. And like I said, I believe Ferrari can win this race. But let's see the interesting scenario this race will bring. What else do you need to know about the Miami Grand Prix? The F1 Academy will be running in Miami. That is the female academy. Also, it will be a night race in Africa here. It should be starting around 5:30, 6 o'clock for the practice one. The sprint qualifying should be starting around 10 o'clock, while the sprint itself should be starting around 5 p.m. in the afternoon on Saturday, while the qualifying 9 o'clock on Saturday, and the main race 9 o'clock. Now, the experience, you can have a 3-day pass cheap at $430, while you can have a day pass for the grandstand at $70. But the clubs, the luxury, the suit, the paddock are of high price. The club starts from $1,500 for 3-day package. The luxury $6,000 for a 3-day package, while the suit varies in price. That is starting from around $10,000. The paddock club is totally sold out. That one is just... the money is something else, highly sold out. If you're a Nigerian going down there to watch the race, to have a good experience at the BYLT boat house for 3 days, you might be paying between 2.7 million to 17 million. Also, if you want to be in the Mercedes-AMG Petronas F1 team Miami Club, 3 days, you're spending close to 20 million naira. It's going to be an interesting race in Miami. What are you going to be doing this weekend? Join my analysis and my feedbacks on this races. Please like, share, subscribe. I love you guys. Catch you on the next one. Bye. Cheers.